Happy Sunday and happy World CP Day. Thank you for joining me today. I'm just going to give everyone in social media land a second to join us here. And my apologies for the technical delays yesterday trying to get going here. I think. So yes, today is World Cerebral Palsy Day, not fabulously fit over 40 because I'm over 50. Yes, we are running live on the other end. So thank you for joining me today. Today is one of my favorite times of the year to do a session. I support a number of families with cerebral palsy, and there's lots of different ways that LifePro can improve the quality of life that you are living. So whether you are living with CP or you are supporting someone that is living with CP, I want to talk a little bit today about just some common tools that I use with many of my families. I'm going to give you a few pointers on how to use those tools effectively. And sometimes, you know, when you're looking at all of the information out there and all the choices and tools, it can be a little bit overwhelming. So I hope to narrow down your choices and help you make the best decision for your needs. So today I'm not going to talk a whole ton of science. If you are interested in looking at the research associated with any of the stuff that I'm talking about today, a very simple Google search, vibration plates for cerebral palsy, massage guns for cerebral palsy, red light, infrared. If there's any particular tools that you have at home now or you've been considering, certainly there is ample research out there, but each of these technologies has substantial research to support the benefits. Just because you are dealing with CP doesn't mean you can or cannot benefit in the same way. You just might use them more often or differently to manage symptoms. So a lot of what I like to talk about, and I'm going to show you some tips on today, are how to use these tools to manage the symptoms throughout your day to improve the quality of your life, to help you remain independent as long as you can. For those of you that are dealing with severe mobility, speech impairments, neurological, challenges, there are still lots of ways that you can use these tools at home, whether you're using lifts, whether you're working in a seated position in a wheelchair. There's always a way to modify even the vibration plate, which is the first topic I'm going to get into today. Of all the research out there with vibration machines, you will find one of the largest chunks of research is in support of using it with cerebral palsy. In particular, oscillating plates. There's been lots of talk lately about lineal versus oscillating, which is better. It's not a better, it's understanding they have different sensation, they feel different. There's a lot of similar benefits, but in my opinion and experience, oscillating is going to improve. One of the things that we as families working with CP, or you as an individual, works on all the time, which is improving balance. Oscillating, hands down, has an advantage of the side-to-side movement, ever challenging the core and the body to keep itself upright and stable on the surface. If you're unable to stand without assistance, you're dealing with fatigue, you're having muscle movements, you can't control the limbs. Certainly incorporating wheelchairs and lifts and those type of things are a way that many of my therapists approach using the plate. So before we get into a few demos on the plate, there's a couple of common things with cerebral palsy that I show in my one-on-one calls. But what I want to convey to you today, looking first at vibration plates, how do I know I'm selecting the right tool for my needs? This group said this, and this person said that, and the ad on Facebook said that, and this is where it can become a little overwhelming. You want to make sure, especially if you're caring for a special needs child, that you're making the right decision. Well, the good news is any vibration plate model with LifePro will help improve and manage the symptoms of CP. It's also a great way to get your exercise, your stretching done, even some of your massage. So it's not a tool to treat CP. A vibration plate is a way to get the exercise, the positions that you're probably supposed to be doing at home with your therapist, or as advised by your therapist. There's usually a set of home exercises and stretches that you're to be performing regularly. So a vibration plate is simply a tool. It creates an environment that makes those exercises more effective in less time, possibly bringing additional benefits that you wouldn't have got doing those same exercises on the floor. Things like circulation and lymph substantially being boosted. The balance piece, as I said, it's kind of a given, and as a reason a lot of my therapists will use a plate even just for a few minutes before they do other therapies. But selecting the right plate, the best advice I want to give you today is to be realistic in what you can and will be using. So do you need something that's portable, something that you can place under a wheelchair or a lift? Maybe you're using it in different places throughout the course of your day. Maybe it's under the desk or in the kitchen during the day, and you've got it beside the bed at night. So these type of things are things to think about. In oscillating movement, from a performance standpoint, all of LifePro's plates are very similar, but some of them have more feature and more optional movements than other models. Is this something you're planning, as I said, to take with you, or do you have perhaps a dedicated exercise space that you do your things in regularly? Do you plan on incorporating this with other therapies? One of the great ways to use a vibration plate is to incorporate other tools with it. Perhaps you're applying a massage gun to other body parts, or maybe you're using some red light, incorporating some of that technology, or maybe you're using some PEMF or some infrared. So you can get more done in less time by combining your tools. And really the big goal, and what I preach in all of my one-on-one calls for cerebral palsy, is it's about giving you more family time, more life time, and less therapy time. Many of you I know are doing extensive therapies, sometimes 5, 6, 7 days a week. And the last thing you want to do, especially your kids, is more therapy. So I try to make your plate time fun, efficient, and fast to give you more family time. So as I said, if you're looking for research specific to vibration plates, do a quick Google search. I assure you, you will be busy reading for long periods of time. Researchers that support those using cerebral palsy aren't, generally speaking, they're not vibration plate specialists. So some of the stuff that I talk about, because I specialize in this tool and have for a long period of time, I can assure you that it is safe. The only contraindications with whole body vibration would be the same contraindications as they would for the general public. So if you've had a recent surgery, you're having any current medical conditions, give the contraindications a cruise. Contraindications are indications. They're not contracants or contra, not allowed tos. Contras are a flag that tells you you should seek further clarity from your doctor, your care provider, or someone like myself that has extensive experience using the plates. So one of the moves I want to show you on a vibration plate that is common and probably the most popular position for those of you looking to build strength, gain stability. One of the big things with cerebral palsy is spasticity or stiffness in the muscles, or exaggerated reflexes in the body. And sometimes, the muscles become so exhausted from being tight all the time that they actually can decline in their strength and their weakness, or when you need them, you can't rely on them. So a vibration plate is a great way to get strength going while you're boosting circulation and lymph. That's going to aid in reduction of lactic acid levels. It's going to help with the spasticity. I know many of you are dealing with hypermobility, unstable joints. You know, using a vibration plate and applying it to the exercises that you're supposed to be doing are a great way to build not only strength and bone density long term, but keep those joints stable, keep the muscles and the tendons around those joints working effectively, and keeping you upright with less risk of falls or strains and things like that. So the first exercise we're going to work with, and many of my therapists are probably doing this position now. Anytime I'm using the plate, think functional when you're dealing with deficiencies or you're trying to improve symptoms like, I'm just looking a little dark here. I'm going to bring my light down a little bit further. A sit to stand is simply the action of standing up out of your chair. And we do this exercise, and some of us probably hundreds of times a day, getting up out of your chair or out of your car seat. It's not only functional, it improves your day-to-day and your ability to manage throughout your day, but it's a great way to build up leg strength, the stability, get the circulation and the lymph all in one exercise. So thinking functionally, we want your feet no more than hip width apart. This isn't a big old workout. It certainly can be, but functional means, you know, when you're walking across the floor, your feet are typically positioned under your hips. They're not wider, they're not closer. On an oscillating vibration plate, you are always in control over the intensity. And if you're working with smaller or frail users, the sensation that the stimulation the machine creates feels different to each of us. So I want you to very confidently understand how to control the settings, in particular the intensity. So the intensity is how wide or how close our feet are to the center. And especially if you're dealing with poor balance, wider is more intense. It's going to destabilize you more. That's not necessarily what we want, especially for an exercise like this. For your speed, I prefer working with a mid-speed range. If you are dealing with any pain, it tends to be it'll relieve the pain faster. The mid to faster speeds are less choppy, less destabilizing, but it's important to bring the feet closer to compensate for that faster speed that we're using. Again, feet are hip width apart, and for this exercise, all we're doing is shifting the weight onto our feet and slowly standing up. Once we're standing up, we're going to keep those knees slightly bent. If you don't bend the knees, it's not harmful, but it tends to drive the stimulation more up to the head and the neck. My kids love to make the funny voice sounds. But the goal is to keep those knees bent a little bit, suppress the vibration lower into the body. If you are working on squat exercises right now, you could certainly, you know, while you're up here, instead of just standing with the knees bent, you could mimic your squat positions. The goal with the sit to stand is to practice the motion of standing up and sitting back down. So you want to make sure, depending on the user on the plate, you want to be seated at a good 90-degree or slightly higher. When you're seated with your feet on the plate, the feet are slightly raised up. So if you're an adult, I recommend using a bar height stool, counter height stool. If you're working with a younger user, you might get away with a kitchen chair or just a regular chair. It really depends on the leg length. So on this exercise, I typically love to see 3 to 5 reps. This is a good way to start the day before you head out the door to school or work. If this is an exercise that you're working on, but the stability is not quite there, maybe you need something to hang on to. That could be the back of a chair. It may be a safety rail. Many of my families have a ladder installed on the wall in front of them. I'm going to mimic that now. So what a ladder is going to do, whether you need it for balance or not, there's something about hanging on to something with your fingers that just makes you feel more stable, especially if you're a new user. What I like about ladders, if you're working squats or you're not so comfortable sitting back down, it just gives you a little something to hang on to and to give yourself stability. Many of you would think that you need a machine with handles because you're working with poor balance. Sometimes handles, especially if you're working with other equipment, Handles can get in the way if you're working with lifts and wheelchairs, and it does to a degree limit the number of exercises that you can perform with the handles being in the way, in my opinion. Machines with handles are more of an older school design. What I like about a plate with no handles is if you are working with a wheelchair or a lift, balance cages, other things like that, there's nothing in the way. And you, if you are the care provider or a parent, you've got access to the person on the machine without the handles being in the way. So this is nice. If you are using it for stability, try and ensure that you're using your leg strength to pull yourself up, not your arm strength. Okay. And I would love to see, like I say, if this is the only place that you're doing this exercise, or this is something you're supposed to be doing at home, probably 5 to 10 reps, really depends. There's some of this is just going through the motion and practicing the exercise. If you've got other goals like weight loss, toning, those type of things on top of it, you may want to push yourself a little closer to fatigue. And a good way to do that is just to hold a deeper position till you feel the fire in those quads, unable to do it any longer. Another variation that I want to talk about, and another very big area of concern, is the calves and the hamstrings. You can get high tone or spasticity in a lot of the legs that I deal with. And one of the exercises we're supposed to be doing regularly is a simple calf stretch. So a calf stretch on the plate is easier done 1 foot at a time. I'm hooking 1 foot, the ball of my feet, just on the edge of the plate. My heel is past the plate, and I'm locking that back leg and pressing that heel to the ground. And my other leg is bearing my weight and keeping me stable standing on the machine. It's slightly bent. And of course, we would do both sides. Very much, if you, for my moms and my ladies out there, if you ever wear a pair of heels and you give that calf a nice stretch off the edge of the stairs, that is what I am mimicking here. If you're dealing with a smaller platform, you've got something more compact. A lot of people ask me, well, can I do, both feet at the same time? You absolutely can, but depending on your mass, the size of the plate you're using, sometimes the machine gets a little bit tippy if you're a taller or a heavier user. So I prefer, from a safety standpoint, stretching one calf at a time. It's just a better way to do it. Okay. This I made out of dowel that I purchased from my local hardware store that I then sanded and stained. IKEA sells little kids ladders, or they used to. I'm sure you could find something on Amazon, or something with just a nice back on the chair if that's something that you needed long term for something to hang on to. So that's my first favorite exercise. That's a very common one. It's a good all-in-one exercise. If you're stable on the plate and you're comfortable doing that exercise, and you wanted to incorporate, some weights or some armbands or some other movements, you are only limited by your imagination and your range of motion. The plate is just an environment that accelerates the effects of the exercises that you're supposed to be doing. So the next one I want to show you is going to target more in the stretching realm. So we're going to work on stretching the calves and the hamstrings. What I love about using a vibration plate with my pediatric users, for a lot of my parents, you're able to pick your child up and position them on the plate. So if the mobility isn't there, this is one that you can typically position your child yourself to take advantage of. And the first part of this exercise is simply sitting down on the ground, and we're going to take the calves, and the heels are just past the edge of the platform. The meaty part of the calf, even part of the back of the knee perhaps, is there. And on the plate surface, your feet should be positioned about hip width apart. If you want more intensity and your tolerance is there, you can widen up. Wider with the legs, like a V, is going to give you more shake. Closer is less. It really depends on your level of comfort. I like to use, again, a mid to high speed on this. And we're simply going to, the calves are being massaged, but another way to target the calves and stretch them instead of the standing position that I just showed you is to pull the toes towards you. So while you're getting the massage, we're stretching the calves. And if you're working on, range of motion or stability in the ankles, you may just want to do some movement exercises, do some little circles, point the toes, however that may work. Many of you are dealing with a situation where the heels do not lay flat on the floor when we're walking across them. The floor, it's tightness in that structure in the back of the leg. I'm going to add a very highly technical piece of equipment. This is my pool noodle, and I've cut it the width of a machine. There are different widths depending on you, but an area of tension and sometimes even surgery, if you've had perks, that heel cord surgery, this becomes a very tough area of tension. The pool noodle is a great way to target those Achilles directly, loosening up the spasticity, the tone. You can still do your stretching, pulling those calves towards you and pointing, but this is a really good way. There's certain body parts that don't lay directly on the plate for massage. The Achilles is one of them. The back of the knee is another. So you could move this one up. I've already talked 10 minutes. Wedge it under the back of the knees and target it in that area as well. There's all kinds of ways that you can incorporate rolling exercises if you're doing them now. All I'm suggesting is switching up the roller to a pool noodle. A pool noodle is not quite as dense as a physical therapy roller. And once we incorporate the vibration, it simply is a way, the pool noodle is a great way to move the stimulation that you're feeling up into those areas. The physio noodles and the rollers out there on the plate are a little bit too dense, and they tend to just bounce around versus absorb and help facilitate the sensation, the stimulation being subjected to the body part that you're applying it to. So that's my second favorite. The third favorite move, which is a very common one for those of you that have done a session with me in the past, especially with my special needs group, if you're dealing with poor mobility, sometimes you're on a lot of meds or you're just inactive because you're unable to completely bear your weight for long periods. Maybe you're dealing with fatigue. Many of my CP users, especially those that sit for long periods or are in a wheelchair, deal with constipation, IBS, gut health issues, back and spine issues. And it's just the nature of sitting sometimes, I think. The number one feedback remark that I get from most users using a vibration plate is that it helps things get moving. So if you are constipated, if you're dealing with urinary incontinence, a vibration plate and sitting on it, standing on it, there's different ways depending on what you're able to do. But standing on it will offer some benefit because everything's moving and churning. But sitting on it, if you are able, is a great way to target those areas directly. If you're doing exercises like Kegels right now, things like that, you can do those while you're seated on the plate. I recommend just leaning forward slightly if you do not like the sensation that the head and the shoulders moving. Most of my kids actually have no issues with it because then they get to make the voice sounds again. But if you're concerned or you're wearing some hearing aids or you've had any recent dental work and you're just a little sensitive, just lean forward slightly. And if you get a bit of an angle in the spine, you're not going to find it as invasive. This is one probably you could do a couple times throughout the course of the day. It's a great way to target the hips, the low back, just get some looseness in those areas. But while we're sitting on it, just simply the passive movement is going to improve flow in the areas we talked about. So a lot of my families do that one before they go to bed. While you're sitting on it, you can continue getting a nice stretch, if you like, on the back of the calves and the hamstrings. Being seated on the machine is really an all-in-one move in lots of ways. There's so many different reasons people will want to do this exercise, but the benefits are that you identify with are different depending on who you are. If you got low back pain, you like doing this one for low back pain. If you got cellulite, my ladies like doing this for the skin tone. For my CP crowd, it's about that tightness, that spasticity in the hamstrings and the constipation. So this one I love doing, especially if you are dealing with restless leg, which is another common symptom. I love to do that one probably about a half an hour before bed. If you go too long, especially with young users, sometimes too much circulation and lymph gets you wired and excited and worked up again. So you want to make sure it's not about doing a big half-hour session, not even 10 minutes. 2 to 3 minutes on any single of those exercises probably sufficient to address what you are hoping to accomplish before going to bed. And really the key with the vibration plate, like the exercises you're probably supposed to be doing at home now, is consistency. Consistency really is the key. And I think why I see so much success in my CP crowd with using a vibration plate, especially for my kids, they got a short attention span. There's play, there's homework, there's TV, there's all these distractions. And sometimes they spend so much time in therapy. The last thing I want to be is another hour to 2 hours out of your day of work. So the plate should be fun. It should be quick. And it's something I want you becoming comfortable with using throughout the course of the day as your body tells you it needs it. So, whether you're lacking energy, whether the spasticity's kicking in and you're experiencing some pain or tightness and it's affecting your function, you can use it for a couple, 3 minutes throughout the course of the day, separate to whatever exercises or routine you may be doing on it now. So it's a great tool for managing symptoms, and consistency, like anything else, is key. There's a lot of reasons people are using vibration plates to manage your quality of life when you're dealing with the symptoms of CP, but it takes a little bit of time and a little bit of experimentation to understand all the potential benefits and what feels good to you for your needs and your self-care routine. For those of you that are dealing with impairments such as lack of speech, hearing sensitivities, cognitive issues, there's also tons of research around the improvement of mental health using vibration plates. And that to me is no surprise. A lot of that is the same reasons that you're basically encouraged to exercise and remain active. All the same reasons. A plate is simply a tool that makes the exercise moves easier. It's very effective on the stretches, and it's the added bonus of massage. So for a lot of my parents out there that are spending half an hour to an hour a night massaging the legs, trying to relax them so that your poor child can have a good sleep and their legs are actually flat, 2 to 3 minutes massaging on the vibration plate is going to be so effective. I challenge you to try that out if you haven't been doing that already. So the next one we're going to move on to is also vibration, but we're going to talk about vibration guns. So why would I want to use a vibration gun for cerebral palsy? A lot of the same reasons that I just talked about with a vibration plate, certainly from a managing symptom standpoint where you're dealing with spasticity, pain, maybe you've got some trouble spots that are giving you grief towards the end of the day. A massage gun is a different tool than a vibration plate. You're not going to get the exercise gains, the bone density, the strength, the functional gains. But the vibration gun is a great way to also target spasticity, that high tone that some of you experience, pain for sure. But it's a great tool to have with you on the go or to incorporate with other activities. But I wanted to give you a few tips on how to apply the massage gun. If you've never seen one of my massage gun sessions, there is a tip to applying this. I'm going to show you a quick little demo on my arm. So I just talked about on the vibration machine how I prefer using a faster speed with a closer foot placement. A massage gun works very much in a similar fashion. You've got different speeds, and the distance that the end of the gun where the attachment is placed moves a certain amount, a certain distance. And typically with a massage gun, if you've never used one before, we think we've got to be like at a massage office where we're getting this deep intensive amount of pressure. But with a massage gun, it can really be tailored to you and your own sensitivities. And it's going to be different depending on what you're using it for and where on your body. It sounds like Amazon or someone's at the front door. Ignore my big dog barking. So on this massage gun, this one's got 5 speeds. I'm going to bring this up to a mid speed. And what I want to show you, instinctively, we think we got to press and push this thing in. And a lot of people say to me, I can't use a massage gun. It's too painful. It hurts. It leaves me black and blue. Just like the vibration plate, it's about how you apply the tool. My therapist will know this. And you don't need a $2,000 to $3,000 massage gun. Many of the guns that LifePro offers are just as awesome quality as the medical grade. And in many cases, they've got a better warranty and after support. So you don't need to break the bank. Many of LifePro's massage guns are going to fit the bill. But like a vibration plate, how do I select the right LifePro gun for my needs? So this is what I would kind of call a smaller gun. This one's been discontinued. I see I grabbed the wrong one. The Sonic is probably my favorite. All around, all user, whether you're a therapist, whether you're at home, it's affordable. It's got lots of different head attachments, including the spatula, which I know some of you covet. But when you're applying the gun, the trick is to let the gun do the work. So instead of you applying a bunch of pressure, you see how I'm just skimming the surface of my skin and my arm's not even moving. If I apply pressure, right? So the amplitude is, or the intensity is controlled by how hard or how light you're pressing on the gun. And if you've got a lot of pain, you got a lot of tension, you might need to be tender and kind in starting until things loosen up and your tolerance improves a little bit. So skim the surface, couple that with a mid to higher speed, and I think you're going to find much more relief in a short period, and it's going to be more pleasant of an experience. For those of you that are dealing with grip strength, many of you are dealing with weak hands, weak arms. Just hanging on to the gun is forcing the muscles in your hand, your wrist, and even up into the forearm to a degree to accept the stimulation that this thing's kicking out. So just by hanging onto the handle of the gun, you're going to start improving grip strength in the hands, relieving pain. If you're on the opposite end of the scale and you're dealing with arthritis or pain, later in life, the same benefits apply. So just be cautious when you first start working with a gun. A lot of you that don't have the grip strength or don't have the range of motion in the arms could never visualize yourself using something like this. But anyone I've worked with that sticks with it consistently tends to progress to a position where you can at least hang on to it and start applying. And with CP, one of the big areas that you as parents are applying the massage gun to, of course, is that hamstring area. Okay, so you could, while you're using your massage gun, do double duty and apply, or while you're using your vibration plate, incorporate the massage gun on other areas, the hands. Get more done in less time. That's really the premise of combining these tools. So selecting the right massage gun depends on really the person who's applying it. So a lot of my littles that are taking guns with them to school or to sports, and they're using them for on-the-spot relief or recovery, the Dyna Mini is probably the best choice as far as size. It's very compact, can fit right in your purse, even with the case. If you are using it more regularly at home, you're the parent applying the tool, you are the therapist applying the tool, you probably want something with a little bit more size and a few more attachments. Again, the Sonic is probably my favorite recommendation. I have it right here. So the Sonic's not much bigger than the one I was using. This is the coveted spatula tool for those of you working with fascia or lymphatic applications. Everyone covets the spatula. But the Sonic is a better all around. It's way more affordable than most guns out there on the market. And of course, you've got LifePro and their amazing warranty behind you to support this product. So this is probably the best bang for your buck. If you are in a therapy office, you're a bigger user, you're a bigger guy, you've got really good tolerance and a little bit more strength, you may want to step up to some of the larger guns. The larger guns tend to have more strike force. So they might have a strike force of, 13 to 15 millimeters of movement, whereas the smaller guns, the amount of movement will be less, maybe 8, 9, 10, 11. So the millimeters that you see when you're looking at a massage gun relate to the amplitude, the intensity, how strong that movement is going to feel when you apply. And now you know how to censor that, for your own needs. So just skim the surface versus pressing it in, as I just demonstrated. So that's my favorite second tool. If you're using massaging rollers, the massaging balls, any of these tools are just a no-brainer for spasticity, that high tone that some of you experience. It's a great way to just work out tension and help the body sometimes recover from some of the other therapies that you're doing, or just, your day-to-day. Sometimes when you're dealing with conditions like CP, physically, it's much more demanding to get through your 9 to 5 than some people may realize. And a lot of these tools are a great way to just recover from, the exhausting tightness that you're experiencing all day, or the pain, or all the sitting. So recovery is really, really important. The last thing that I'm going to talk about as far as Deb's favorite tools today is a big topic, but I'm going to try and condense it into a short discussion, which is light therapies. Light therapy has really taken off. LifePro in particular in the last couple of years has really brought some amazing tools to the market. I'm going to break it into two basic types of light therapy: infrared and colored lights, which is your red lights, your blue lights, your purple lights, all those type of things. And why would I use these things to manage my CP condition or my symptoms? And so anybody that's looking at red light, or has red light now, or infrared light, we know the benefits. It's reducing pain. It's boosting the metabolism. Red light improves mitochondria function, which enables your cells to do their work more effectively. Interestingly enough, there's a lot of studies that are starting to come out. There was a recent one last summer, I believe, where they showed red light on its own, applied in a passive way, reduced the high muscle tone and the spasticity. So if you're dealing with pain associated with those, that would also be a given. So pain relief and relaxation, not everyone wants to do physical exercises or more time on their vibration plate. Sometimes you just want to chill and lay down or sit and not do more therapy. And the beauty of a lot of the light therapies is they really are just a hands-free. It's not something you physically need to administer to yourself. So if you are selecting or considering light therapy, what would be the best tools for me? And again, visualize yourself using it. Are you the one applying the tool? Are you a therapist incorporating it in your office? So if you're using it at home, you're an independent user and you struggle with things like mobility, strength, you deal with lots of fatigue, range of motion isn't there, you may want to go with something hands-free. So a hands-free example of red light and infrared light therapy might be one of the panels. So the panel you can hang or position close to where you are situated. You can turn the thing on, set it, forget it. You don't have to apply anything to your body. You can set it on the timer, and the longer times, so that most of the light therapies that are offering 30 minutes to a 1 hour timer, they tend to you're committing to longer treatment times. If you have trouble with mobility, something like the blankets or getting into a physical sauna may just be a little bit more challenging. So I recommend thinking about, what are my hands-free options? And LifePro's got a ton of them. Maybe you're looking at a smaller wearable. A wearable is going to require you to put it on yourself or crawl into it. And you want to make sure that you've got the range of motion, the strength, these type of things to administer the treatment. If it's something that you physically can't accomplish on your own regularly, it's probably not the best choice for you because you're not going to be sticking with it consistently. So when you're selecting your light therapy tools, make sure you are selecting something that complements your ability and your goals long term. So the infrared saunas, the blankets, those type of things are going to be fantastic for managing pain, but they're also going to bring a little bit of an advantage if you are looking at accelerating some weight loss, maybe losing some weight. The red light therapies are going to be great for that skin surface stuff, maybe more treatments throughout the course of your day. Another example I want to introduce to you, they've been out a little while now. LifePro has come out with these really awesome mini pads. There's a couple of different sizes. This would be a great example if you've got some chronic areas that creep up throughout the day and they don't last until you get home and do your therapies. Some of these pocket-sized tools are a great way to address or keep symptoms manageable throughout the course of your day without it disrupting your day. So these mini lights have been a godsend. I've had this elbow flare-up thing going on, probably just a gardening season thing, but my elbows get really bad in the fall, even worse than my bad knee. And I've kind of just been resting. This is the mini one, the micro. There's one slightly bigger than this, and I've just been resting my elbow on it while I'm doing my mouse thing. It's been fabulous. And then I, stick it behind my neck, or you can stick it inside your coat pocket. These are fantastic, and they come with a chargeable battery pack. Another portable example of light therapy would be one of the torches. Now, the difference with the torches, if you do not have a torch, LifePro's got a few different versions of these. These are what I call a high intensity, short treatment time device. So this is going to be a critical tool if you're dealing with acute stuff, like the pain is so bad you need to treat it right now. You don't have half an hour, 45 minutes to wait for that treatment to kick in. They're also ideal as a portable tool where, you want to do a quick treatment. You're not going to sit there at your desk for 45 minutes. So these are really ideal for small targeted areas, that acute pain. The intensity on these type of devices where they've got shorter treatment times in minutes means you need less treatment times. These aren't going to be the best maybe for weight loss and some of those types of benefits. You want a longer treatment time. We want the body's the metabolism time to boost and the sweat factor to kick in. But these are going to be an ideal complement. Maybe you've got a troublesome joint, or maybe you've got a spot on the neck or the knee or the spasticity in the ankles. These are really, really great high intensity, short treatment time for those of you that are, should I get something like this or something like that? Sometimes it's a matter of a few different tools combined. Maybe you need something portable throughout the day, but you're using something different when you get home at the end of your day, or something different at your therapeutic office. So there's all kinds of things I want you to consider, but you visualize, what do you see yourself using? And more importantly, what do you see yourself using consistently? Make sure you select something that best complements you and your lifestyle, because it's the consistency of using these therapeutic tools to manage your symptoms, some of the givens that come with these types of conditions, that's really going to improve you in the long run, is the consistency of using them. So be realistic in what you are selecting. And what I love about LifePro, I deal with a lot of medical companies, a lot of medical suppliers as well. LifePro's products are affordable. Therefore, they are attainable. There are many of you dealing with cerebral palsy that have some benefits, but it doesn't cover everything all the time, or there's a huge deductible. What I love about LifePro's price point on many of their tools is they're affordable to the point where you can actually envision yourself using a couple of them. You can afford to. Sometimes they're less expensive than the deductible on some of the plans that you're dealing with. LifePro is not a medical company, and a lot of times when you're looking at medical grade devices, does LifePro have medical certification, or has LifePro done the research? That costs money. So sometimes the medical grade devices aren't necessarily better manufacturing quality, but they've got to pay for the FDA licensing and all the research and all the paperwork that got to this point. So the price points tend to be higher, but that doesn't necessarily mean there's better quality components or effect in the devices. So be confident when you're shopping with LifePro. Many of my families in my cerebral palsy, I want to shout out to a lot of my children's hospitals and my therapists out there that are using these tools to manage the symptoms of CP and other conditions. Symptoms are universal. Just because you have high tone doesn't mean that doesn't present with other conditions as well. So if you, whether you're looking at just using these tools for symptoms, maybe you're recovering from surgery, there's always a way to improve the quality of your day-to-day with the tools at LifePro. There just happens to be a lot of choice. So I really want you to, again, put some thought into what you visualize yourself using regularly. That's really the key. What else have I not covered in my notes? I think I've pretty much covered it all. So, you know, all the reasons you're doing therapy and exercise and that general population is benefiting from LifePro's tools, you can get stronger. You can reduce the falls. One common question I do get that I want to address as far as a symptom, it is a symptom, it's not a condition, is seizures. For those of you that are dealing with the co-condition or a diagnosis of epilepsy, or perhaps you're just having seizures from time to time as a symptom. In 20 years almost of dealing with vibration plates, I have never personally experienced a vibration plate causing a seizure. Have I seen seizures occur? Yes, and I think it's often related to overdoing a combination of things. So understand when you're dealing with severe symptoms like seizures, it's very important to understand what your triggers are. Very often, you know, people are fearful and think, well, a vibration plate's not going to be good, you know, because they're going through jerky movements or their balance isn't so good. Quite honestly, people with poor balance improve very quickly, as I said, and I find it relaxes people. I'm not suggesting that you use a vibration plate to treat an epileptic seizure. What I am saying is I find my users that use them have them less. They are less severe. And hopefully over time, if you can address what the root cause, maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's high tone. If you understand what's stemming the seizure, and in my experience, unfortunately, a lot of it has been over exercise. You know, more and more therapy isn't always a good thing. You've got to make sure, just like exercise, that you're not overdoing it. You're not stressing out your physical and your mental body. And the few experiences I have had with seizures have all been situations where I have been dealing with medical grade plates, the higher frequencies. That is not the case with LifePro. So I do run caution with medical grade plates. Know what you're doing and deal with someone qualified. You are stimulating the central nervous system, and you got to know what you're doing. But the biggest contributing factor is overdoing it. You don't need to be doing 5-6 hours a day of therapy. If your kid's tone is really, really high and you're seeing it higher after your therapies, chances are you might be overdoing it a little bit. And again, in my experience, any examples I've had with seizures have all been related. You know, they're using the vibration plate at the end of the day after they've already had a whole day of school, sports, and now we've gone to therapy. Oh, and then we did an hour of exercises on the plate. Oh, and then we didn't. Don't overdo it. Sometimes, you know, the body needs rest to apply all these therapies and all this good healing that we've done throughout the course of the day. So it is World Cerebral Palsy Day, as I said. LifePro, even though they are not a medical company, you can afford to use their tools and apply them with confidence, knowing that they are not only of quality, but they have an awesome warranty, and folks like me, Roseanne, and Amber to support you with any questions that you may have and information in the sessions that we provide. So if you are dealing with a severe situation and you want a little bit more guidance, you can reach out to me. If you have questions and you're watching this on a recorded basis, just tag me at Debby with a Y anytime that you have a question. That way I get notified. And I will get back to you on that question throughout the course of today. If you're fearful, this is something that your doctor's unaware of or unfamiliar with, again, go to Google, simply do vibration plate or whole body vibration for cerebral palsy. And don't get confused with occupational therapy. There's been a lot of discussions I've had in the VIP group and some of the other groups this week about, oh, I heard vibration plates give you you know what? 9 times out of 10, anything bad you're hearing about a vibration plate is a misassociation with the wrong type of vibration. In 50 years of research and in my personal 20 of working with them, I have had no more ill effects than what overexercise may present. But occupational therapy, where maybe you're driving a delivery truck or you're working with a tamper, some of the construction equipment, jackhammers, things like that. It's exposure time. You're doing 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for years at a time, and very, very high frequency ranges. So I caution you against high frequency for a couple of reasons. That is where there tends to be some occupational literature to seeing ill effects, but it's absolutely associated with long durations and years of that accumulating on your system. So no concerns with LifePro. And again, oscillating is in my experience, in my opinion, the best choice, not only for cerebral palsy, but for users in general. It's going to help you with the balance. It's going to help keep the stability in the joints. It's also it just feels more natural. It mimics that motion of walking. Therefore, there's much more functional gains to be had as well. So thank you for listening to my rambles. We are coming up soon to Prime Week, which is the 8th and 9th this week. There's already some amazing deals with LifePro, both on their site and on Amazon, up to 20%. Don't wait. Sometimes it's an inventory situation and you wait, and then you finally decide you're going to bite the bullet, and they're out of stock on that unit. So if you have been looking at something, consider it now. If you've purchased something with LifePro recently and haven't shared your results, never hesitate to do a review and share good news. If you're having issues with any of your devices or just struggle with how to use them, that's what we're here to support. We want to have a relationship with you. LifePro is not just a great company to deal with on the warranty side, but they truly do try to support their clients through the sessions that we provide. So we are here to support you. There's never one way to use any of these tools. I wish there was a cookie cutter program I could give you for everything, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. So we try to offer insight. Reach out anytime. Have a great rest of your weekend. Don't work too hard. And thank you so much for joining me today. I will see you again on Tuesday for a special session specific to Prime deals. And I think that one's running at 1 p.m. Eastern time as well. So thanks for joining me today. Have a great rest of your weekend and enjoy using the tools that you have to manage the symptoms of CP. Please share this for awareness. It is World CP Day, October 6th every year. Thank you for joining me. Wear your green. And I'm just realizing I forgot to wear my green to support cerebral palsy. Have a great rest of your week. And I'll talk to you again very soon.